So Poland's government and defense ministry is focusing on the security of the country's eastern border with the announcement of 2.3 billion euros for the development of the Eastern Shield program. And with this weekend's announcement of the establishment of the drone wall in cooperation with the NATO allies. We now bring in Bohdan Nahaylo, editor-in-chief of the Kyiv Post, to hear his thoughts on these developments.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir, and thank you very much for joining us. So as much as these developments are very much welcomed both here in the country and obviously by NATO's eastern flank and Poland's allies, there are obviously some criticisms that come along with this. And I wanted to hear your thoughts as to whether you feel that this is a diplomatic, perhaps a political move in light of the pressure on Poland to act as a leader in the region and also to reassure Poles in advance of the parliamentary elections that are coming up in well, actually it's 2 weeks, maybe just a little bit more than 2 weeks.
Right. Well, I don't think it's a black and white issue. Look, Poland has every right to look after its defensive. That should be the priority for Poland and its neighbors. So clearly, they're doing this with the drone wall, with the Finns, with the Norwegians, with the 3 Baltic states. Makes sense. They are looking after their own border security in the Kaliningrad area and with Belarus in particular. Of course, Ukrainians are disappointed that they are left out of the picture. They would like Poland and its NATO allies to help defend the skies, at least over Western Ukraine, which can be done from outside of Ukraine with missiles and with drones as well helping. So the one doesn't contradict the other. They should be there in unison. There should be a synergy of efforts. And I think that the biggest fear for Ukrainians is that the way things are going, with more and more talk about the need to compromise and to reach some sort of agreement with Russia, give away territory, that Ukraine feels it's being left in the position of a potential bulwark. Now, Poland knows from the 30s and the 20s what a cordon sanitaire meant, that the French tried to create in Eastern and Central Europe. Ukraine doesn't want to be in that position. It wants to be with Poland and with its European allies in the European family of nation and not isolated as a borderland, a kind of drawbridge, if you want, between East and West.
Bohdan, it's interesting that you raised the issue of shooting down missiles. I've been talking about that issue for quite a while now. We spoke with the former top general of Poland, General Andrzejczak, last week, and he talked about how of a difficult political decision it is, yet at the same time, the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, I believe it was Wawrzyk, said on the 23rd, that Poland will consider protecting Western Ukraine with its air defense systems. Now, is that being discussed at all, being talked about there in Ukraine?
Of course it is. And any such measure will be welcome. Imagine what difference it would make if Lviv airport was open. Imagine all the thousands of people that every day try to get back to Ukraine, the refugees, or to get out to visit people. Even from the humanitarian point of view, it would be so good. But on the other hand, also, it would be helpful for people to be able to travel to Ukraine, all sorts of people. And I think I don't need to make my message clearer. Look, at the end of the day, what right has Russia, as an aggressor, invader, to grab Ukrainian lands and to claim total control over its skies? I mean, what kind of document is there that can in any way justify this aggression and rapaciousness? Therefore, if Poland were to set an example with others and to help defend the skies, it's not an act of aggression against Russia. It's Russia who's aggressing Ukraine, and Poland is simply reacting to the call of a neighbor, of a sovereign state asking for help, not to attack Russia, but to defend Ukrainian territory.
Certainly. I'd like to follow up one more time about that, and that is, you mentioned potentially flights leaving from, say, Kyiv or other airports in Ukraine, commercial flights available so that people can travel in and out of Ukraine. I've heard reports about Ukrainian authorities wanting to do this. How would that work? I mean, we all remember the situation that took place in Donbass in, what was that, 2014, 2015, with the Malaysia Airlines flight being shot down. So what is being discussed? How would that technically be able to work?
Well, technically, it's not that difficult. We're not talking about Donetsk, and we're not talking about even Kyiv or Zaporizhia or Odessa, for that matter. We're talking about one of the most western cities close to the Polish border. It would not be so difficult to defend the skies, to close the skies to enemy aircraft, enemy to Ukraine aircraft. It's feasible, it's doable. What is needed is political will. And I know that NATO knows this, and in Ukraine, they're quite sure that the Polish military know this. It's a question of political will. And who will go first? Who will make the first move and say to the others, come on, guys, we can do this together, and we should.
Well, I think that political will is there because Poland's Defense Minister Kosiniak-Kamysz is definitely pushing the EU to invest much more in security and is emphasizing the need for a commissioner for defense. And indeed, I think that Eastern Shield, and now with the drone wall being announced, I think there is that awareness that that border, that eastern flank, has to be fortified. So I think that support for Ukraine is definitely being emphasized, and I think Poland really is a very strong advocate on that front. Would you agree?
With all due respect, we're beyond that border that is being fortified. We're left on the other side. We're left in the same situation. You are fortifying your own border, yes. And as I said at the outset, that's your right to do. But go a step further and help Ukraine at least close the skies over the territory that is closest to Poland.
Yes, and for that, sir, more political will be needed. Let's go ahead and see if the Polish authorities do step up and start to defend the skies of Western Ukraine. That'll be a good first step.
And hopefully the parliamentary elections that are just around the corner will also bring some developments, positive developments. Bohdan Nahaylo, editor-in-chief of the Kyiv Post, thank you very much for joining us again at TVP World.
My pleasure. Dziękuję bardzo.